Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm here to talk about what I've just coined as the touch vulnerables. People in our community, in our society that don't have the kind of contact with another human being, with bodies, with touch, with feeling that other people do. And I want to kind of go through and outline those that I think, this is my estimation, my opinion. Of course, if you have any other groups that you can think of that you also feel are vulnerable to being touch deprived and touch starved, I'd love for you to share in the comments or at any point wherever you find this video. I'd love to hear who you think are our touch vulnerables in our community. So there's 6 groups that I thought definitely need attention, definitely need, you asking, right? So the whole point of all this is, once I identify these groups, I'd like for you to just, if you see them in your community, if you see them around, ask them if they would like a hug. Something very simple. Ask if they would like a touch that feels meaningful to you, and and kind of read their body language and kind of figure out if that's a yes or a no. Sometimes people say yes because they don't know how to say no. So just, of course, observing and learning how to work with consent and boundaries. But okay, here are the groups that I've identified as being touch vulnerable. Number 1, children. So some of the things we already kind of know with research and what's happening in hospitals, preemies, infants, babies. We know that if a preemie receives that skin-to-skin touch, that they can grow and they can progress much more quickly than babies that can't. Now, there are babies that don't have a parental touch, right? Because the parents are working, because the parents, for financial reasons, because of classism. There's so many reasons why parents can't be in hospitals. And I don't know, again, how all the hospital worlds work, but if you know a family, if you know someone who's had a preemie who, you see them working and struggling, and you could offer, may I hold your baby? May I provide that service for you? Or just spend time helping mom with other things so that she can spend that skin on skin and that loving time with her preemie or her new infant. So again, something very basic, but sometimes we forget that these needs are there. Again, children, so there's preemies. I also think high-spirited children. Lots of high-spirited children are labeled as bad kids, and those children don't receive touch. Now, with touch with children, it's different than just with like an adult. An adult, I can say, may give you a hug, and they might respond well. A child may say no, because especially if they haven't received touch when they're young, when they're infants, and when they're toddlers, if you meet an 8-year-old and say, may I give you a hug, that's probably not appropriate for them. But maybe finding games and ways in which touch can happen, where they can have that interaction. Of course, always asking parents, always checking in to see if you can be that like big brother, big sister. But those bad kids, that's big, because those children end up growing, becoming adults that later lack empathy and are lacking these basic human needs of interaction, and creates all sorts of trouble. So and a lot of bad children, as we label them, they are ostracized in so many ways, and again, not having that touch, and they're usually then receiving negative touch too. Teenagers, I think this is all in the same group when they're children. Teenagers also kind of repel, parents repel adults, and this authority and all of that. Finding ways in which teens can connect with touch, because at that time their bodies are changing, they're interested in their sexuality and all this confusion, all the feelings and emotions and all the things that are happening. It's important that those teens get a chance to touch in non-sexual ways, so they have a balance between the sexual and the non-sexual, because later on, as we see, we want them to have those healthy boundaries and consent in relationships, and so helping teens connect with non-sexual touch is huge. All right, so putting the kids section aside, and I wanted to talk about kids because that's not my area of my focus. I have 4 children, but that's not my strength, and that's not my work. So I'm just going to put them aside and look at the now 5 other groups that I've identified as being touch vulnerable. The next one would be, and I feel a little embarrassed to say this next thing, because I don't want to. A lot of our conversation is trying to get away from centering men, but most of my clients are men, and I find that single men have a unique they're uniquely touch vulnerable because of so many things, mostly toxic masculinity. Men aren't able to express their feelings and emotions and ask for what they want within families. They are, especially in the culture in which I live here in South Texas, the machoism, having a man express what he would like is difficult. They are not in a relationship, so they can't access touch easily. And I think the part that really hurts, and I heard a story recently with one of my clients, is he wanted to express an embrace and touch with his nieces and nephews, and was told explicitly to not touch nieces and nephews. So being single, and if your parents aren't around, and then having siblings where you don't touch, man, that's huge for these guys. And then of course everyone struggles with relationships. They're not easy. So then to be in this, like, suddenly you're single and you have no ways of accessing non-sexual touch, and you're told you aren't allowed to touch the children in your family, that is difficult. So I've had a client who hasn't received touch in 10 years. And for this client, and not even from family, and if it's from family, it's very just like basically a pat. So just imagine, like, that's why we have a society of sexual repression. We have a society where these men then act out and with violence, with rape, because there's just not context for them to have that touch. So for us, all we did was sit for an hour and hold hands. That was about as much as they could handle. And it's going to grow. It's a process. But again, there are men out there that don't even have a family member to hold their hand. And they're told, do not touch children. So I would say single men who are, I'm thinking like late 30s, 40s, 50s, you look out for them. If you know one in your family, if you know someone that you love, ask them if they would like a hug. Please. Huge. Can help all of us. The third group that I found that's touch vulnerable would be caregivers. And I don't see a lot of caregivers in my work. I would love to be able to have more of them. And I'm thinking of parents, whomever is the primary child caregiver in the family. That's usually mothers, but that could be fathers as well. Parents, people that are health practitioners, and people that are in healthcare. These are people that are constantly giving and providing for other people, and we tend to think that they are fine. We tend to think that they're great. They're always giving, they're always receiving touch, so why would they need touch back, right? Well, it's different. It's different when you are giving it than when you are receiving it and able to relax and release and to be vulnerable. These people are always there. And then when you're always giving touch, like massage therapists, for example, as well, they get touched out. Like mothers I experience get touched out, where they're like, I don't want anyone to touch me anymore. And it's not so much that they don't want people to touch them, it's that they don't want people taking. It's different. Taking and can be very, after a while, can be damaging because, well, especially if you're a parent, you really can't, it's hard to tell your child stop, and it's if you see a mother or a parent or father or a caregiver, someone in your community, in your circle that you think, wow, they are always giving to other people, ask them if you can give them a hand massage. Hand massages especially, wow, these hands are worked so much. It feels amazing for someone just to go and just give you a hand massage. Get some lotion, get some oil, and just provide that. There's something, we work with these hands, they're so tense. Providing a hand massage is amazing. Maybe a head rub. Our heads are rarely touched. We don't touch our heads enough. And of course, just getting the brain, it's amazing, right? Or find the tools. Like, there's so many little gadgets and things. Imagine if you know someone who in your community or in your family is in healthcare or providers, buy them those fun little things, and then say you promise that you're gonna go use it on them, right? Whatever those things are. I forgot their name. Head massagers. They're super cheap. Give that and provide that service for them. They need it. And also foot rubs too. The fourth group, let's say children, men, single men, caregivers. Yeah, the fourth group are the terminally ill, or people that have chronic illness. Wow. Another huge group that needs your support and love. Sometimes they're scary. I mean, for some of us, we look at them and think, oh, they look sick or they don't look well, and we distance ourselves from them, and they need us there to ask. You can just ask, may I give you a hug? May I hold you? May I give you a hand rub or a head massage or a foot rub, something. Especially with terminally ill, I think of them as touch vulnerable because touch actually creates a healthier response in them. It boosts their immune system. It can provide those endorphins and free radicals. All of these things, when you're touched, your body releases stress and it's able to more effectively fight in a disease, effectively fight in whatever it is that that person is needing support. So let's say they're getting chemo, having that touch might help. I don't know. I'm guessing chemo, I'm not sure that's a great example, but like supporting whatever it is, the health solutions that they're trying to create. So yeah, don't be afraid of them, or get closer to them, touch them, love them, ask them what kind of touch would feel meaningful if they like touch. And sometimes maybe they won't. Yeah, I don't know. They can always say no. The fifth group that I think is huge need in touch vulnerable are the people that are in long-term relationships that you'd be surprised. I would say the majority of the people that I see on a regular basis are people that are in relationships, they've been married for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, even more, who are married to someone who does not like to be touched at all. There can be many reasons for that. Their partner might have gone through changes, physical changes, mental health, lots of things that happen with them that they don't want to have anyone touch them. So those partners get left to have to fend for themselves when it comes to touch, and they don't want to cheat, so they have no interest in, they don't want to get divorced, they want to stay married to this person. They do love these people that they're married to. They just don't know how to resolve this. How do I receive touch? Something, again, it's so basic and so needed. When you see touch as non-sexual, when you're able to move the sexuality from it, and when you're able to see touch as a health concern, it's as important as the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat. Touch is right up there. If it were important, they've done studies, I should say, with babies, of course, or baby monkeys, where they've proved that a baby monkey will die if not receiving that touch. So if you think about how, why does it change when you're older? Why does it change when you need that touch to be able to have a healthier response in life? And my clients report back to me the next day or 2 days later, whenever, like they say, my life is more fulfilled because I was touched. So please consider those who have been in long-term relationships, and if you get to know them better, to see who is really needing touch, offer them a hug, give in an, again, of course, non-sexual way if you have that relationship. The last group that I want to offer to you all is the elderly. As we move up in age, I guess these are the ones that I guess you could have expected. Widowers, I think that's a huge group of people that had touch potentially, and then they lose their partner, and now they're alone. So if you know someone in your life that has lost a partner, I guess that could be anyone, any age, I guess at this point, but specifically thinking about our elders in our community to providing that touch. And also, I would love to see adult children call me and ask me to go and to provide touch for their family members that are in nursing homes. Remember, these are people that aren't visited very often by their family. If they need touch, we could provide that touch. You can hire a professional to come and touch your family member who's in a nursing home or a kind of home. If that's what they need. And don't forget about the touch that's required for our elderly as well. So how do you do this, right? Like, oh gosh, okay. So all these people I've identified 6 different people group: children, single men, caregivers, terminally ill, and our elderly. And you think, okay, I know somebody. Now, how do I ask them? Like, what do I do? So you can just ask them for a hug. May I give you a hug? And smile, right? Smile. Always ask. All right, never assume. Never go up to someone and touch them. Never, ever, ever, ever. There's no ever good reason for it unless the person has already given you explicit consent earlier. If they said, anytime touch me, then you pretty much have blanket consent. Yes, then I guess you can do that. But if they haven't done that, always ask. Or you can ask, may I hold your hand? Or maybe that is, may I give you a head massage if you're like sitting around, at some holiday event. May I moisturize your hands and give you a hand massage? All of those little things you can just ask and see if they feel good about it. And again, it might feel awkward for you, but I almost guarantee it. If they are touch deprived, touch starved, in that touch vulnerable community, that they will love it. Now here's our game. I have a game for you. I practiced this game while I came up with it, and I did it at Standing Rock when we were there last week. And it proved very effective. And I'll tell you what ended up happening because it was cute. So I'll ask someone, may I give you a hug? And there was lots of hugging happening, of course, at Standing Rock. So, of course, give someone a hug. And then I'd whisper in their ear, or like whisper, but tell them, I'm not letting go until you let go. And every time people would say, well, we're going to be here a really long time. And I'd be like, okay. Right? So then, of course, like, give it like 10 to 15 seconds or seconds later, they're like, okay, well, I do have things I need to do today. I'm like, good. Now, I don't know if that's effective and works for everyone. People might feel trapped. People that don't have the ability to say yes or no, I guess, probably not play that game with. But if you know someone is confident enough to be able to say, be in their yes and be in their no, you can try that. Now, I think one of the things that I've noticed with this game is that so often people run off, they give a quick hug and they leave. And that's not, maybe potentially not what that person wants. They want something longer. So my consideration with this game was for those who are touch deprived, that they can actually experience the fullness of that hug that they would like and not have you leave before they're full. And it takes about 20 seconds before oxytocin kicks in. And you can say that. You can say, hey, it takes about 20 seconds for you to have, beginning to have some sort of health benefit. So why not try to at least make it to 20 seconds? Would you like to have a 20-second hug? Again, explain to them why it's beneficial for them. Anyway, I think I'm pretty much done. So consider those touch vulnerables in your community, in your society. Find them. Don't like go out and looking for them, like hunting them. But I guess you could hunt them if you want to. But if you see somebody who you think, wow, this person during this holiday season could really benefit for some touch, be bold and invite and ask them if they would like it and see what happens. You never know. Magic. This is what we're in, this holiday season of magic. Blessings to you all. Cuddle on, #cuddle on, and enjoy the coldness and our touch. Love you all. Mwah.